math expert, every amateur sport coach and hockey player. He's also the dad of 3 and a children's storyteller expert.
Okay, I didn't know that.
And we've got Jane Tour, the executive director of Project Read Literacy Network Waterloo Wellington. She's a self-described TV trivia expert, handicapped golfer, and she is pretty good, but you know what she said to me is, it's a high handicap, but it counts. Well, mine's higher, way higher than hers. She's a good, don't let her fool you. She's a good golfer. And she is an obstinate believer that she's always right. She's also the mom of a dog, which makes her a child or a pup or a pet storyteller. We'll at the end of this, okay? So I want you to go down to the bottom and you should, everyone here, you should see a thing that says reactions. It's kind of the farthest over to the right of the bottom of your screen. Can you click on that and you will see hands or a thumb up, everyone, with your reactions? Perfect. So that's what I'm going to ask you to do if you really like something they say, or you can choose to give them the clapping hands. Either's fine. Before we go any further, though, I think most of you have muted your mic. If you haven't done so, except for the 2 debaters and myself, please mute your mic. And if you have a question, put it in the chat or give a reaction by that button, okay? Everyone understand? Show me with your reaction button. Yes, yes. Great. Okay, welcome, Bill. I just saw you joined. Okay, so here's the rules for the debaters. No physical contact, okay? Well, that should be pretty good because they're in, oh, where's the debaters music? Well, that's probably,
I think it's copyrighted.
that's, I was trying to think of the word. Okay.
A little too high tech for us.
Yes. So no physical contact should be pretty easy since we're following physical and social distancing rules. No hitting below the belt, Jane or Mark. So that means you can't make your opponent feel like they got kicked in the butt or make them part of any like really negative joke. No use of tears or cute dogs or children to win your points. So we'll have no great pictures of cute things. And for you, the audience, if you think the debaters are making really good points or you're laughing, thumbs up, clapping, we already talked about and we practiced. Please keep your microphones on mute. And again, put something in the chat and Nadia will let me know. Debaters, they're going to each have 3 to 4 minutes to give their opening argument. And right now, Mark is starting the argument for the good. So he likes Dr. Seuss. So let's hear what he has to say. So take it away, Mark.
Oh, I get to start. First of all, Jane, I promise not to react when you're speaking because I didn't see any thumbs down. So I won't be able to react. But here we go. Oh, hold on. The sun's coming. There we go. The cat, you will think in the hat. If I say green eggs, you will think and ham. If I say Horton, oh, I got a call. If I say Horton, who? If I say how the Grinch, you will think. I can go on and on. Can my opponent, children's author, that elicits the same response? I think not. So, research shows, Jane, internet. I'm sorry, it does require reading. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But research shows that age 3 children are able to join in rhyming games, and by age 4 they're able to recognize words that rhyme, and by age 5 they can produce rhymes, and after that they can make up their own stuff. So rhyming is a good early learning and early kids. So why would I bore you with the fact? All 48 of Dr. Seuss's books have rhyming patterns in them, right? And that's what makes them so memorable. Each line is galloping across the page like a horse trotting through a field. What other children's author does that? Right? Jane, if you stay online, I'll explain rhyming to you, but I don't have time right now. So So just a wee bit of math, because that's my background. Dr. Seuss seems to equal rhyming patterns. Rhyming patterns equals early reading skills, and early reading skills equals best children's. My opponent might suggest another author who writes well, who rhymes, and is well known. But I challenge her to give me the name of an author that resonates with five. Sorry, that's not a challenge. It's really an impossible task. Because books like How the Grinch Stole Christmas is not just a children's story, it's an intergenerational common collective. Yes, an intergenerational experience. Those are really big words. And I learned those really big words because my parents read Dr. Seuss to me.
Mhm.
So to wrap up, a little poem that I created. Dr. Seuss is the best. He is better than the rest. He makes engaging kids until the book is done. My opponent will try to say something that makes your opinion sway to another author, just a hunch, by the name of Robert Munch. She will be pious, but that is just regional bias. He is from Guelph. Now it's my opponent's turn. I will back away and listen. Listening to her will be fun. It will be like reading one of my favorite. To think that I saw it on Mulberry Street, because Jane exaggerates everything.
Okay, wow. Some very interesting. Mark the math guy actually could have mixed you up with a literacy guy. Good for you. Okay, but I think Jane is up for the challenge. The gauntlet has been dropped. So take it away, Jane. Let's prove by saying that Dr. Seuss, nah, not for you.
Well, I don't know what your problem is, Mark, but I'm guessing it's hard to pronounce. Remember when I asked for your opinion? There. This is all nice coming from someone with a name that is just a dog with a hair lip barking. Mark, 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 Mark.
Yeah.
Your parents couldn't like you if they gave you that name, so no wonder why they read you Dr. Seuss. Well, first off, let's give some credit to Mark. Side must be very difficult. Books and reading can be a stretch for a math teacher, so bravo to you. But unfortunately, you are so wrong. First off, not even Dr. Seuss. His name's been mispronounced for years. And the man wasn't even a doctor. He didn't even like children, never had them and found them too unpredictable. Now, I know you get more scary thing, but I see a lot of women handling this all the time. I also blame Dr. Seuss for a lack of math skills in our children. Most kids, because of him, think you count like this. 1, 2, red, blue. How do you add red and blue together and get 7? It's as bad as elemento from the alphabet song. What letter is elemento? What sound does it make? Okay, let's even just look at green eggs and ham. I don't know about you, but I was told not to eat a protein that is green, and I'm Irish. There are green eggs, but usually only when they're cooked too long or at too high a temperature, left over from Easter egg coloring. Green ham, well, I'm pretty lax with the 5-second rule. People know that. I'll pick food off the floor that's been there for a while and let the dog lick it and then eat it. But green meat, meat's garbage. Now, an elephant named Horton, nothing should be named after a hockey player besides donut shops and streets. So, Seuss was also a cartoonist during the Second World War. Did you know that? Cartoonists are usually just failed artists, and it feels like a familiar story. I can't think of who else might be a failed artist. You know, it sounds so familiar. I'm sure I'll come up with it. I'll come later. He also collected hats. Did you know that about him? 100 of them. That's a little strange. Now, to quote one of my favorite characters, Baby Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy, I am Groot, I am Groot, I am Groot, I am Groot. And for those of you that don't understand Groot, let me translate. I don't like hats. You can't trust people who wear hats. First, you think they have a misshapen head, and then you find out it's just a hat. It's all very weird. We also work hard to have our children take baby talk and move it into proper language. Sure, it's cute to have a child say, but by 12, it's just a speech issue. In my family, my older brother had pages of baby words and quotes, like popo and cowboys. And sure, we use those today because it's fun and embarrassing. But how boring if it didn't. However, Dr. Seuss geflupped it and gluppity glup, called an upsk and a lurkum, and we think it's cute and wonderful forever. I say no. I do have to bring up a very difficult subject for me, and I'm going to try not to cry on this because I was told that that was in the rules that I can't. When I was little, I read Dr. Seuss's books, and so I wanted to read on my own so desperately, but he used the words would and could. How could I ever sound those out and pronounce them? It broke my little child heart to try to do this. It scarred me for a very long time. Let's face it, it's just all bad.
Ooh, some very compelling arguments from both of our debaters. Okay, very interesting. So now we're on to the next part where each of them has a chance to have a rebuttal. Should I say a rebuttal?
I always wondered who Groot was. Now you solved the mystery for me. So you look a little bit like Groot.
I do.
Yeah.
I try.
Yeah. So
This is a Groot color.
what do you have against hats? How is that relevant? You have something against hats?
Hats? How do you know
What
it's a
do you
hat?
have
It just looks
against
like somebody's
hats?
head is misshapen.
And you are very confused, more confused than the would and the could have ever confused you as much as you thought it would, because the book is Green Eggs and Ham. Nobody said green ham. You should go back and green eggs and ham.
It's green
so green
ham
eggs,
too.
some regular ham.
Look at the pictures.
Did you do any research, or did you just make up the facts? You're known to just make up the facts. I'm not sure, did you actually like look stuff up, right? Right? It's talking about books, I know, is a stretch for you. You said it at the beginning. Something about talking about books is a stretch, and I heard rumor that's why you don't do it, right? So I'm sorry, but Dr. Zeutsch is not Dr. Seuss. We all read Dr. Seuss. Your Dr. Zeutsch got an issue, obviously.
Okay, some interesting points there, Mark. Now, Jane, it's your turn. See if you can hit them with some fire or some books or some.
Oh, I'm sorry. Please stop talking, Mark. I only yawn when I'm super fascinated. It's kind of hilarious, Mark, watching you try to fit your entire vocabulary into one sentence.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, Mark thinks Seuss is imaginative and fun. He also thinks pink is going crazy with color. He's a principal. A wavy line can freak him right out. Rules make him so happy that he's shaking with excitement.
Oh, wavy lines of math curve.
So, if you like rules and dull colors like gray and standing in lines, then you probably like Seuss's books too. And you also believe that puppies are bad, and you won't ring a bell so an angel can get its wings. Nor will you clap to keep a fairy alive. So enjoy your gray suits and go nuts. Have Jell-O for dessert. I'm trying really, really hard, Mark, to see things from your perspective, but I can't get my head that far up my own butt.
Wow, but you couldn't even pick another author. You just said why he's bad. You still haven't said he's the best, or not.
And unfortunately, I don't have the time or the crayons to explain this all to you.
Or the ability to research.
There are some remarkably dumb people in this world, and I want to thank you for helping me understand that.
Oh, good.
Okay, so with that rebuttal, we're going to move on to the points round, which I have some very unique questions. And so audience, I really want you to pay attention to the answers. I will give them both a chance to give us an answer for each of the questions. Okay, and this is, you're going to take into account their arguments, their rebuttals, their answers, and then we'll allow them both to have a conclusion, and then I'm going to poll you at the very end, okay? Because you, the audience, is going to be able, or are going to be able to determine who the winner is, okay?
Jane's
So,
probably seen the questions already.
so I'm going to start with Jane. Question 1. Who is a who? Jane.
I do believe that's the World Health Organization. And according to President Trump, they've made tremendous errors and we shouldn't listen to them because they believe in China.
Okay, very creative answer. Mark, what do you think? Who is a who?
A who is from Whoville. Definitely from Whoville. Jane is definitely not a who, although it might look like a who. She's not from Whoville, but a who's from Whoville.
Okay, very well done. Okay, next question. This one will start with Mark. Question 2. Do elephants have good hearing?
Do elephants have good hearing?
Yes.
They got big ears. Sorry, I almost didn't hear the question, so I guess I'm not an elephant.
What?
I'm
Huh?
going to say that's a yes or no answer, and I'd say they have big ears.
Okay. Jane, I'm going to pose the same question to you. Do elephants have good hearing?
Well, I hope so. It would be a bummer to go through life with ears that size and not have good hearing. Imagine an elephant tilting its head and saying, huh? What?
It
There's
depends
no
which.
PPEs that would fit over those ears. They're putting their lives at risk. It better be for good hearing.
Horton's an elephant and he hears a who. So if he hears my who, he must have good hearing. But if he heard your who, he doesn't need much hearing at all.
No, he needs PPEs.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Now we're on to question 3. Again, I'm going to pose this one to Jane first. What is the meaning of a zizzer, zazzer, zuzz?
I think that's what I say after 4 gin martinis when I'm ordering my 5th.
Okay, very creative. Mark.
That's probably
is
what
the
she says
meaning-
after one. That's what she says after one martini.
Could
Probably
be.
even after a virgin martini. But I think a zizzer zadder zaz is a sewing pattern.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, very creative.
Final
very-
answer, sewing pattern. See, look, the light's even coming to me. That must be the right answer.
What is a sewing pattern?
Okay, number 4. This will go to Mark first. Why is there air?
Do you see the spotlight coming on the victor here, Jane? Why is there air? Why is there air? So that we have to listen to Jane. There's air, so we have to listen to Jane. That's why there's air.
Okay, thank
Sound like a
you.
bad thing.
Okay, Jane.
It's one of the, oh, yes, it's one of the, yes.
Okay, Jane, why is
I
there
couldn't even
air?
say it.
Well, any idiot knows there's air so you can blow up basketballs and volleyballs in tires, but not balloons. Balloons should only be blown up with helium.
Okay, and I just see what's in the chat here. Bill said you can't blow up a balloon without air. Okay, thank you, Bill. Okay.
Whose side are you on, Bill?
Mine.
Okay, so this last question, I'm starting with Jane, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, Jane. Okay. Which Dr. Seuss book does this excerpt come from? There was no time for play. This was no time for fun. This was no time for games. There was work to be done.
Is that the Cat in the Hat?
Very close, very close. I'll pose this again to Mark. Do you need me to repeat the rhyme?
No,
But I don't like Dr. Seuss, so, you know.
It was one of the Cat in the Hat books because the mother was going to be coming home and they had to get it all cleaned up before the mother came home.
Okay, do you know which one?
The cat, oh, there's 3 of them. Nah, no, it's the Cat in the Hat something.
That's right. So I think Jane gets the partial marks for that. It's the Cat in the Hat comes back. So you're correct, Mark. It was when the mother was coming back. Okay, so that is our round of questions. So audience, again, I hope you've been kind of keeping tally over who won each of the questions because we've really, really had some very creative and interesting factual and not so factual answers. Anyhow, okay, so now I'm going to move to the last part, which is we're going to turn the final page on Dr. Seuss. So I'm going to let Jane do the conclusion first, and then Mark will finish up. And then we're going to do a poll.
Okay. Should I start?
So Jane, away you go.
If you
Okay.
go first, that means you should start. First means start.
Thank you, Mr. Math.
Yeah, see?
People love Dr. Seuss, apparently. But do they have all the knowledge? Is it just the ridiculous rhymes that make you laugh? But couldn't it all be better? Couldn't it actually be real? And here's because Mark was so worried that I wasn't going to name another author. If you want to laugh, read Thomas's Snowsuit by Robert Munsch. First off, you get a Canadian author, a relatable story about a real child that's hilarious. You can even go to the ludicrous when you read his book, The Fart, because farts are funny. They always have been. They always will be. If we could leave Dr. Seuss alone and stop reading his books to kids, think how many knees of clothes we could save and allergies we could thwart if kids weren't down talking to every dandelion poof trying to hear a who. Don't get taken in by cutesy little sayings like, today you are you, that is truer than true. I'm not a children's book author, but I think I can do some decent rhymes without making up any new words or words that don't exist. Let's try it. Every day you are you, that is something we all knew. You're fantastic and unique, and without you our lives would be bleak. It's not rocket science. I've checked. There's no rocket, no fuel, no ignition. So to summarize it all up.
Summer it up.
So Lorax it go, and Grinch up those thoughts. Seuss wasn't wise, he was just flummoxed.
Oh.
Ooh,
I
so-
dropped.
You know, it's
I see some
very,
reactions from our audience here, some clapping, some hands.
you know, it's very interesting that you knew so many words in the book that you didn't think is a good author. And that you knew the answer to the question that Lori posed about which book is the words from. So obviously you've read a lot of the books.
I saw the movie.
And I was not surprised that you finally talked about Robert Munsch, because in your small, narrow world, you don't know any authors past Guelph. So I'm not surprised by that at all. Dr. Seuss is much farther away than Guelph. Robert Munsch is not. So it's apparent to me that reading for Jane is still a project. Yes, reading is still a project for you, right? I love Dr. Seuss, and I learned to read young. And yes, I went on to a career in math, while my opponent, obviously a Dr. Seuss denier, is still working to catch up on her literacy. Not liking Dr. Seuss is like a fundamental character flaw. It's like saying you don't like babies or saying you don't like ice cream. That's just not possible. And although you probably won't admit it, I'm confident that you have read all the Dr. Seuss books. You've probably read more Dr. Seuss books than Robert Munsch books, right? And I know it, and you won't admit it. So to wrap up, from a teacher's point of view, I will teach you in a room. I will teach you now on Zoom. I will teach you in your house with a bad mirror covering a. I will teach you with your mouse. I will teach you here and there. I will teach you because I care. And Dr. Seuss rhymes are all over. And you have some things still to learn, so I will teach you.
Yeah.
Okay, I see some reactions from the audience there too. Very nice, very nice. Okay, so now, thank you, thank you. Okay, we can have some, we had some very, very good arguments on both sides. We got laugh being shown here, but from Mark. So now Nadia's going to put up the poll. You will have, I think, a choice of 3, but you can only choose one of the answers. And it will be anonymous. So go ahead and please pick one of those.
Oh, I get to vote?
And submit that.
Apparently we do, Mark.
You get to vote, yes.
I won't vote. Maybe I will.
Go ahead, vote.
No, I would never vote for myself, not like you.
And once you
And
have
that's why you'll be off the island.
the tallies in, Nadia, you can announce the winner, or you can send it. Okay, here we go.
They're both crazy.
So they're both crazy. So we kind of have a stalemate here. So congrats to both of you. That's That's really amazing. And I know I share this with all the audience. This was quite enjoyable for us. So,
Scott wants a bell ringer round.
Bell ringer.
Yeah.
Bell ringer. So you want me to ask a
Like-
few questions, or do you want
Random, one question.
One question.
one question? Good thing I had one in my back pocket. Okay. So let's see. We went Jane, Mark, Jane, Mark. So this one starts with Mark. If I follow the same
No, I
thing.
think you just ask it and whoever answers quickest.
Oh, is that what you want
Oh.
to do, the bell ringer?
Well, but then we will talk over top of each other. You know
Yeah.
that.
I think we keep the same pattern, right?
I think they each get one
One
chance.
minute talk.
Yeah, one chance to answer.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay,
So
what?
we're going to give them a chance to talk. So then now
I didn't even do this.
Vote for?
Vote for me. I forgot to do that.
Okay, I think I give them a question and then we give them each maybe 30 seconds to finish up. Okay?
All right,
Yeah.
sounds good. What's my
Okay.
question?
Okay, so your question, and Jane will have the same question, but Mark will go first this time.
Oh, good, because she'll need more time to prepare.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Okay, the question is, how can you prove that we exist?
Oh. Well, if I were to run my head into the wall, it would hurt. And pain is a feeling of existing. Just ask Jane. You know, I look in the mirror, and if I got a better angle, I could see myself in the mirror, but I can't see where she ran her head into the wall. But I think pain means we exist in some way. But
Yeah.
philosophically, are we really here? Or is our world just a speck of a much larger world in a much larger galaxy? I don't know.
Okay,
I
very,
don't know.
Do.
That might be a book.
creative, very creative.
That
Lots of,
might be a book. Can't tell you which one it is.
okay, lots of things for us to ponder. Okay, Jane, same question. How can you prove that we exist?
Well, I can prove that I exist because I am now not invisible in any picture that is taken. I've tried. I'd like to have that as my superpower, but it's not happening. So I'm in there, but it always makes me think of, you know, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody's there to hear it, doesn't make a sound. And that's one of those philosophical questions, but you know, it's more like, you know, does a bear poop in the woods? Yeah. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. And apparently for dog poop in my backyard, same thing. If you don't see it, it still happens because I've stepped in it enough times that I know. So it's pretty obvious. We obviously exist.
So on the question of whether we exist, my opponent decided to talk about poop.
Yes.
She should read more Dr. Seuss.
It's called having a sense of humor, Mark. You should get one.
Ah.
Oh.
Okay, so audience.
I'm past the
remember
poop
those two
jokes, I guess.
answers. Now we will give them each 30 seconds. And the last conclusion, Jane went first. So this time Mark will go first. So you will have the final word, Jane,
To do what?
just to summarize everything. It'll be like a double summary.
Oh, good Lord.
Okay, so Mark, you got 30 seconds. Ready? Go.
I'm just worried because Jane's puzzled because she has to think now.
I did.
It's making her afraid. So I would just like to ask my opponent in wrapping up, if Dr. Seuss is not the best author, why she didn't talk about any other authors that she thought was better. She just slammed Dr. Seuss for some reason, but she was not able to come up with one author that she felt was better. Even when she mentioned Robert Munsch, she didn't say he was better. She just happened to mention him in what she was talking. So generally when you do a debate and you don't feel someone is the best, you have an alternative of who's better. And obviously she clearly did not have a better author. So clearly she did not make the point.
Okay,
So Jane, I relinquish my last 7 seconds to you.
there you go. Okay, Jane, the gauntlet has been thrown. Here
It's
you go.
It's quite interesting that, Mark, if I don't say things exactly the way that you need them to be said, that you can't read between the lines. Obviously, literacy is a struggle for you because reading between the lines is a whole comprehension thing. I'm pretty sure I said Robert Munsch was better, and he's a Canadian author, and he rhymes, but he has fun with his stuff. I do think Robert Munch is better. He's more appropriate for the times. His pictures are actually real. You know, kids have their own imagination. They can go off and do anything they want, but it doesn't have to be giving them have you noticed how every character that Dr. Seuss makes looks somehow like a cat? Just think about them. Think about the Lorax. Think the Cat in the Hat is obviously a cat, but the Grinch just looks very much like a cat. Furry creatures. So is he worried about having fur all over his body? Like, I don't think this is images we want to have children think about. I'm really sure that if you're going to rhyme, I think I agree with you that that's a lead into good spelling and good English. But the whole problem with this is that you're still using crazy words. And I have done a readability study on The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. And if it's written for small children, how come it's written at a grade 7 level? Just ending with that.
Well,
Okay.
yes, to say, obviously.
Another say. You're done.
Oh, yeah, but
There we
obviously,
go.
I can infer that you know every character in the books. That's interesting.
Okay, so
To
audience,
hate, you have to read.
so Nadia, are you able to put up our poll again? Or can we have another one?
It's one poll per show.
I think that's it. I
Yeah,
think you can only
Okay.
have the one poll.
Okay, so let's,
Oh, there it
there
is.
we go.
you can
Okay.
go for
chance
it
to-
again.
They had extra things. Let's see. Make your vote now. And before we get the results, I just want to say congrats to both of our competitors. This has been quite an enjoyable and exciting time. So we'll get the poll results. And then if people want to say a few words to end, we're open to that. Okay, Nadia, do we have our poll?
Yes.
Oh, crazy. And Jane won. So if I look at the siding of this, it's kind of a little bit more sided for Jane, but overall, they're still both crazy. So thank you. Does anyone have any final words that's not a competitor? Are we good to go?
I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming in and laughing and giving your thumbs up and everything. It was fun to have that.
I think it was most entertaining. Thanks to both of you.
Good.
It was great fun.
I loved
Loved
it.
it.
I loved it.
Good.
Loved it too. Thank you both. And thank you all for participating. It's been a great first time for us doing this literacy debate. And so stay tuned. I think we're going to have more of these.
Do it
If
again.
you've got some good ideas or any ideas, send
Yeah,
them,
send in your ideas, right?
send them through to any one of us. And we'll be sure to let you know when the next one is. So have a great night, everyone.